Welcome to being at home with George during COVID, doing it YouTube Live. This is very exciting. First time I've done this. And I'd like to just welcome everyone. And I'm George Mumford. And the idea about these being at home with George Live is to create the possibility of number one, embracing, being able to embrace whatever comes up, all the pain, struggle, even the joy and the peace, whatever comes up, to embrace it and at the same time generate hope. So today I'd like to talk about how to stimulate connection. And I think that's really important. So it's another way of generating hope, is the way I look at it. I'm really excited about it. And the reason I think it's important that we talk about it because people have not been feeling connected, and we talked about it a little bit last week, but we want to go deeper. And part of that ability to go deeper is number one, to really talk about it here. And number two, to talk about the online course that I'm going to be offering that starts on Wednesday, where the title of the 6-week study group is connection. So we want to have a conversation about how to stimulate connection. So for me, it's very simple. It's really understanding that when I have a conversation with somebody, um, to be in contact with folks, and is to have a conversation about something that we have in common, especially if I could talk about what we are experiencing right now as folks dealing with COVID, because COVID is a disease of alienation, not only when people get sick, but also if they happen to pass over. The over 500,000 people that have passed, I'd say all of them, if most of them, if not all of them, have gone without their loved ones in there. And even when they die, there's not the traditional funeral and that sort of thing. So, so just talking about that. So how do I stay connected? And it's interesting because one of the ways I stay connected is actually doing this YouTube post on being at home with George. And so obviously we post it to YouTube. But what I do is I go through my phone and I actually text people the the link. And it's interesting that when I text people the link, and there's a lot of people. I don't know, maybe 200 people, maybe more. I don't really know. I just go through them and copy the link. And what I notice is people that I send these links to, it stimulates conversation. It stimulates, hey, George, let's get together, let's talk, or I have this idea, or there's something that I want to talk to you about, or something that we would engage in a conversation about, and then we get back to it. And so there's something about, and then people saying to me, thanks, I needed that. It came just when I needed it. And so it's this idea of being able to connect with ourselves, with myself. So for me, it's really just getting clear about how I feel, my inner life, what I call the inner game. When I talk about just being really clear about how I'm feeling and what's my intention. Why am I doing this being at home with George? Or if I take this as an example, and it's because I want to be able to talk about what helps me deal with these challenging times, and that is to be able to say yes to whatever comes up, and at the same time generating hope. So we talk about that, but now we're talking about how do we stimulate conversation, and a lot of that has to do with the idea for me is just being willing, wanting to connect with other people, sending them, whether it's sending them a text or sending them an email or calling them, and just talking about something as simple as how much I care for them and how much I value them. And it's one of the practices that I like to engage in, is what I call catching somebody doing something right. And so for me, when I think about a year ago when this happened, and I had some significant losses like everyone else, but even before COVID, losing, great friends like Kobe Bryant and my sister and my high school friend Bobby, to mention a few. But last year, several cousins and uncle and a lot of people I know, a lot of friends. That what it says to me is I really don't know if I'm going to be here beyond today, and I definitely don't know if others are going to be here beyond today. So, how can I use or stimulate my desire to connect with people and tell them how much I care about them now, and how much we have in common, so that I focus on what I want, focus on what brings us together. And the main thing I talk about in a lot of these posts is this idea of getting beyond the illusion of separateness, thinking that we're separate. And every once in a while, we are able to experience that. So even in these challenging times, just think about all of the healthcare workers that are at their wits' end, but yet they're showing up and they're doing things. A lot of the essential workers, people work in grocery stores, and besides the fire and police and emergency folks, that there are a lot of people that are really stepping up and going beyond themselves. And when we can see that, and we see it dramatically when we think about 9/11, when people running into the building, we think about here where I am in Massachusetts, we think about, and it's coming up on the anniversary of the Boston Marathon, that people were actually running towards the explosion, not away from it, because we got beyond that illusion of separateness, and we realized I and the other are one. And so, to the degree that I can accept myself, and even if I'm feeling really challenged or feeling sad or whatever, I've learned from a different variety of places. One being 12-step recovery, is that to be in the service, to help someone else. The best way to help myself is to help someone else and get out of my own grief or frustration or sadness, and be a light unto others, to really reach out to someone else who's suffering and support them in that, or to reach out to someone and just remind them that they have a masterpiece, remind them that we get to choose what we focus on. And so one of the things that I like to share with people around this topic of staying connected is it's from The Power of Awareness, and this page is 33, 34. It's by Neville Goddard, and I believe it's yeah, The Power of Awareness, and it's called Renunciation, Resist Not Evil. And so I'll read it, and maybe that'll give us a clue. There is a great difference between resisting evil and renouncing it. When you resist evil, you give attention. You continue to make it real. When you renounce evil, you take your attention from it and give your attention to what you want. Now is the time to control your imagination and give beauty to ash. Give beauty for ashes, joy for mourning, praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. You give beauty for ashes when you concentrate your attention on things as you would like them to be rather than on things as they are. You give joy for mourning when you maintain a joyous attitude regardless of unfavorable circumstances. You give praise for the spirit of heaviness when you maintain a confident attitude instead of succumbing to despondency. And so for me, what I do is I give beauty for ashes when I concentrate on things as I would like them to be rather than as they are. So it's embracing, yes, this is COVID. We can't get out, we can't go to funerals, can't go to dinner. There's a lot of can'ts, but there's some things that I would love to do that I can do. And I look forward to the day that I can do those things. And the way that the path forward is to be safe, to wear masks, to get vaccinated. I've been vaccinated, and to do all the things we can so that we can get back out there, where it may not be, it will be a new normal, but at least we'll be able to look forward to it and prepare. And going back to, this is a year anniversary of these offerings, and one of the things I talk about all the time is focus on being. So when we're able to do, we hit the ground with both feet, running, and the heart humming. And so the doing part of it, just focus on how we want things to be, and focus on something, having something to look forward to. That's how we generate not only confidence but connection with ourselves. So for me, it's just dealing with my mind, body, heart, and soul, and focusing on what I want, focus on what I want to control, focus on what's right. And when I have conversations with folks, I talk about what we have in value. And right now, it's like, how do we manage this time? How do we stimulate connection? We stimulate connection by focusing on love. I think about love, how to connect. All you need is love. That's what the Beatles talked about. Jimi Hendrix talked about the idea of when the power of love is greater than the love of power, we will have peace. And there's other ideas about that. We go back into the Buddha and the Jesus or Jesus. It's always about love. It's about continual forgiveness, focusing on what's right. But renunciation or giving up is more like a generosity, as I see it. Just giving up beauty for, you give beauty for ashes when you concentrate your attention on the things that you would like them to be rather than on the things as they are. So it's, yes, this is how they are, but yes, this is how I would like them to be. This is the generating the hope. And you give joyful mourning when you maintain a joyous attitude regardless of unfavorable circumstances. So happiness is a choice. It's like, yes, this is happening, and I can still choose joy now or never, or focus on what I can control and focus on what I can create, because this moment and living in the moment is the best way to connect. Whatever is here, whatever I'm feeling, I can embrace that, and I can relate to it in a way when I create space between stimulus and response based on giving giving joy for mourning, giving beauty for ashes, and maintaining a joyous attitude regardless of what's happening. Yes, this is happening and it sucks. It's uncomfortable. And at the same time, I can generate what's the lesson? I can have the growth mindset. How do I relate to this in a way that empowers me, that connects me to, makes me feel connected to myself and another, and give praise for the give praise for the spirit of heaviness when you maintain a confident attitude instead of succumbing to despondency. So things don't look really great, but I have confidence moving forward. I see a future that I'm excited and enthusiastic about living into. And so that's what it comes down to. So to be yourself, for me to be myself, to feel whatever I feel and to generate hope. And when I'm being real, and I'm in the truth of what is as it is. And because I'm in the truth, I have the possibility of freedom because I'm not making stuff up. I'm saying yes and to life. And so we'll continue to have these YouTube sessions, but at the same time, just my online course, The Mindful Athlete, as well as my book, The Mindful Athlete, Secrets to Pure Performance. We're going to talk about, we have these study groups twice a year. And for the next study group starting on the 24th, Wednesday, the 24th, we're going to focus on connection, how to stimulate connection, but how to maintain connection, and how to feel more connected and focus on how to connect rather than how to disconnect or how we're not connected. So I'd just like to end with this idea of, we have this ability, we have these masterpieces, we have this ability to be in the Christ consciousness or the Buddha nature or the Kuan Yin or the divine spark, and that because of that we have the possibility of saying yes, embracing whatever comes up, and within whatever comes up, we can make choices if we can create space between stimulus and response. And in that space, we have the freedom and power to choose, the freedom and power to transform. So love and blessings, and stay connected. Stay tuned in. Thank you.